Hi there, Cale Moffat again. Um, this lesson is broken up into kind of three chunks, so I'm going to do just a quick little video introduction for each one. This one I'm going to talk to you a little bit about metadata, the first section of the chapter in the Bad Key book. If you see me looking over to the side, then I have a script. I tend to think I sound pretty blah when I try to improvise, so I'm reading off my Office script that I've written. The concept of metadata is really important in the web environment, and it's actually been in the news lately. You might recall that the NSA, the National Security Agency, has been collecting metadata on people. Basically, what they're collecting is who we're calling, who we're texting and emailing, how often we call, and things like that. And it's not every single person in the United States, but it's a large enough chunk that people are concerned about it. We're going to be talking about metadata in a different context, and that is the context of information sources. Now, a quick and simple definition is to think of metadata as information about a resource, and information about an information source. For example, a title page on a book contains metadata. It can give you the title of the book, the author, the publisher, and the date of publication, as well as other bits of information. Now that is metadata. It tells you about the book, but it's not the book itself, and it's contained within the book itself, but it is not the book. It's not that information. When you go into the academic search premier or another database, and you get to the results screen, what you're doing is you're actually accessing the metadata about the articles. When you go into the library catalog, you're accessing metadata about books and CDs and DVDs. It is a little bit different in databases because sometimes the metadata is connected to the actual item. So, like you can go into a record screen and click on to get a PDF version of the article. That's a connected metadata. Let me just show you a couple of examples from materials just so you can kind of see it as you're reading the Bad Key chapter, you can see this going on. He has a couple of illustrations, but this might be a little bit more helpful for some of you. Alrighty, in this first example, there is a catalog of the book called Genetically Yours, which is in the library. Now the metadata on this record screen that we can see includes the title, information about the author, who published it, where it can be found in the library, the call number, and various identifiers like the International Standard Book Number, and a description of the book. Now, interestingly enough, this particular record even allows you to see the chapter titles, which can help you determine whether this might be a useful information source for you. And not all catalog records have that, but many do. Okay, let's go on to another example. In this example, it's from the Web of Science database, which is available through the library website. In this record is for an article entitled Innovations in Low Input and Organic Dairy Supply Chains, What is Acceptable in Europe. Again, the title itself is part of the metadata, as are the author's names, and the publication information. A little bit different here. You've got the article title, but you've also got the title of the journal, the volume and issue numbers of the journal, the page numbers, and that piece that says the DOI, that means Digital Object Identifier. So when you're creating a citations page, you can include that as part of it. Also, on this article, we see the URL of the journal the article is in, an abstract or summary of the article, along with various classification items, the language of the article, and other identification numbers. Here's another example. This one is something I pulled from iTunes to show you another context for metadata. This is for actually one of my favorite albums, Alan Holdsworth, Metal Fatigue. The metadata here obviously is the album title, also the name of the recording artist, Alan Holdsworth, the song titles, the length of the songs, and when the album was recorded. In fact, the album cover and the user ratings could also be considered metadata for this object. Alrighty, so I've given you these examples to help you visualize this as you're reading the chapter in the Badkey book. This idea of metadata is vitally important in this time of digital information. This is how we search and find information. We don't search within the information sources itself. We are searching the metadata. And so it's important to understand that relationship and concept. There are so many different there are so many different information sources being created that good metadata is really the only way to track all of those items. We simply cannot keep track of all of the items themselves, but we can keep track of the metadata. Alrighty, so that's a quick introduction to metadata, and that's the first few pages of the Badkey chapter.